2 minutes. That's a lot of fucking people.
Bugg, everybody.
But here's the thing, I know that there's a lot of skinny girls out here, which is fantastic. Like, you guys look so good. You really do.
My name is Amy Bugg, and I've been doing stand-up comedy for 2 weeks.
My name is Sherri-Lynn Gamracy, and I've been doing stand-up for 1.5 years.
Hi, I'm Lori Gibbs. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 7 years now.
Yeah, but that's an insulting comment, too.
It's very insulting.
I normally don't like female comedians, but you're the exception.
I know, and I know that that's always well-intentioned. I do get, like, they don't realize that it's backhanded, and I never take offense to that.
Whether or not it's somebody coming up being like, oh, you were really funny, and I don't like female comedians, it's still kind of insulting, because as soon as I walked on that stage, for that first 5 seconds, you were like, this girl's gonna suck, just because I'm a female, and that's not very nice. I think it's called sexism.
Many times, there's somebody in the audience, there's got to be in every audience, who has already decided they don't care for female comics. And if I thought about that every time I went on stage, I don't think it would do me any good. But I do know it exists intellectually. I just think, well, you know what? All I'm going to do is go out and do my best at every show.
My friend's stepdad mentioned to her that he had lost his virginity to his babysitter at the age of 12. I don't even want to know how that comes up in conversation. Oh, hey there, stepdaughter. Going babysitting? Boy, do I have the anecdote for you.
I would describe my comedy as awkward, painfully awkward, severely awkward. You knew this was gonna happen. Ah! Aside from comedy, I am an accountant.
And I mean, I've been babysitting, and I would never use the word arousing to describe it. I mean, where does that kind of strong sexual ambiance come from? Definitely not the 4 hours of Monopoly. A layover on Boardwalk does not bring me to orgasm. Perhaps it was the programming they enjoyed together? Babar, the Elephant Prince? He was a great seducer. What about Dora the Explorer? She's curious. She's like a little J-Lo.
My first time on stage was terrifying. Very terrifying. I kind of had to pee. I really had to pee. What'd you do? I peed.
And can you imagine that 12-year-old kid at school the next day? Just strutting down the hallway with his cherry poppin' swagger? And then in the lunchroom, biding his time, waiting for the Oreo cookie versus snack pack debate to conclude. Hey guys, you know Sarah, my babysitter? Yeah. Well, she totally babysat on my dick last night. That's probably exactly what he said, right?
I went on a date with a nerdy guy the other day, and he asked me a question that I've never been asked before. And that was, if you had a time machine, where would you go? What would you do? I had no idea. So I thought about it, and I decided I'd probably go back to like the 1800s and infiltrate the Canadian Women's Suffrage Association, which is like a group of women that fought for women's rights. To me, these women are bitches, because now I have to work. I work 2 jobs that I absolutely hate in order to pay my bills so that I can do stand-up at night. And I take an acting class on Saturdays now. Kind of thought about maybe going back and stopping the abolishment of slavery too. It's like, let's be real. I don't want to cook or clean either.
She corrected
Since I was a kid, I've wanted to like perform somehow. I started doing improv a few years back, and it just wasn't really something that I wanted to do. And I started working at a comedy club, and I started seeing all these other comedians, and some of them weren't that good, and it just gave me a little bit of confidence. And then hanging out with them, some of them just gave me a lot of good advice and told me to try it. The worst that's gonna happen is I'm gonna fail. So I did, and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. But I've been getting out. I have been dating a lot more. I have noticed, though, that I've kind of been treating my sex life the same way that I do a box of Timbits. I prefer the chocolate ones. I would describe my comedy as, I don't know, I'm a little bit raunchy, I guess. I have a lot of, I don't know, inappropriate things that I don't think a lot of females are willing to talk about, like, I don't know. That's a really hard one. I get asked that question a lot, and because I'm still trying to figure out who I am when I'm on stage, I don't know if I can answer that 100% yet, because I don't even know. Sometimes, like, some of the new jokes that I do have nothing really to do with any of the other ones, so it kind of changes all the time. I know that might sound racist. I'm not. My mouth and my vagina are. We're working through it. The feeling you get when somebody laughs, it's like a drug, for sure. Yeah, the feeling, just making anybody laugh for like 1 second.
I'm sorry, big girls don't move fast. Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Hey, it's that guy. It's Nick, everybody. Give it up for him. So cute. So cute.
They don't go to church. They're still interested in this.
And how many astronauts do you know? Well, as far as career goes, I do my stand-up, and I 2 months ago started at X92.9 as a morning show host. And I also write quarterly for a magazine called Canadian Scrapbooker, and I'm a wife and a mom. Oh, God. I look at you're all so young. It's so great. There's so many young guys. I gotta be honest, you just look like a big plate of snacks to me right now. You really do. You really do. Seriously, dude, I will chew you up and eat you later from my molars. Oh, so good. So good. Not a good start. I should warm up first. Like, comedy is usually, it's positive and silly and sarcastic and hopefully surprising. And I guess what other people have said that I appreciate is that it's very genuine. I'm just very much me up there, and I'm not trying to be anybody else. I can't. I'm the best at being me, so that's what I stick with. But listen, I'm gonna make you feel better, because when I get back to my mansion in Deer Run, I'm gonna slide out of these bad boys, you guys. Yeah, I am. And you know what I'm gonna have left, don't you? Yeah, that's right. The gene imprint right across the middle. Boner, big boner, yes. Baseball cap? I know, it's so sexy when you're taking off your clothes for your man. You're like, oh, I see you noticed my sexy set of train tracks there, did you? I call this the roundabout area. Sees a lot of action, if you know what I'm saying. I have no idea what that means. What, am I taking it in the belly button now? What's happening? What's happening? The first time on stage was the most terrifying experience of my life. And I've had 2 children, so that's saying a lot. It was at Camp Caroline in the beautiful town of Caroline, Alberta. And it was for a women's church retreat. I am not a churchgoer myself, but a friend of a friend was the pastor there. She said, I hear Lori wants to try stand-up. I think I have a kind audience for her. And it was a healing retreat, so a lot of the ladies that were there had been through really tough things in their lives. So I spent the afternoon in my little bunk at Camp Caroline, trying to breathe, going to the bathroom more than I needed to, feeling my palms sweat and my mouth get dry. And then right before I went on, I was in the hallway and I just started crying spontaneously. There's no warning. It's just absolute fight or flight reaction. And then I got up in front of them and sort of made fun of the fact that I'd just been crying, and they laughed. And then I said a few more things and they laughed again. And I get really emotional when I talk about this. I have goosebumps. So I stood and I talked in front of them for an hour. I can't call it stand-up because I didn't really know what the hell stand-up was at the time. But I talked to them and I told them things that I thought were funny. And the next morning we all got together and they had a sharing circle. And everyone went around and said what the weekend meant to them. And there was one woman who'd been quite quiet. And I hadn't seen or heard her talk to anybody. And they got to her turn and she said, you know, my husband passed away 2 years ago. And I hadn't laughed since the day he died until last night when Lori told jokes. And that's when I knew it was right. Oh man, I hope you guys aren't scared of me. I know I'm a bit of a gangster. I know I got the ink done, so what? I will mess you up. I got a tattoo a couple of years ago. It says, have fun. Yeah, I think I made my point. I got it because it was actually the best comedy advice I was ever given. And also, it's a goddamn great reminder when I'm doing shows in Brooks, Alberta. Wow. That's what I'm supposed to be doing here. Fuck my life. Oh, God. What happened? Worst moment? It's a tie, probably between a gig for 200 drunk oil workers in Brooks. I was very new in comedy and my agent phoned and he said, hey, sweetie, I got a gig for you in Brooks. And I was like, woo! And he goes, it's for 200 oil workers. They're going to be on a curling bonspiel for 2 days before you get there. Woo! Yeah, just so you know, 2 years ago for their entertainment, they had strippers. Woo! No, don't worry, because last year they totally classed the joint up again. Topless waitresses. So I went, because I'm a motherfucking gangster, and I went, and they were so rude. They were just like, show us your tits. And I was like, show me your teeth. Not a full set in the bunch. I win this round, Brooks.
They're just as funny as dudes. Jokes are jokes, man. You have a funny joke, doesn't matter what mouth it's coming out of, a female mouth, a male mouth, dog's mouth, doesn't matter, man. Funny's funny, right?
I think it's tougher for them compared to guys, for sure. But funny's funny, and I know some very, very funny women.
But he's not a woman in comedy.
But speaking of women,
Well, your radio gig has really made you the master of segues.
I really like Joan Rivers, like her old stuff. Her new stuff's kind of whatever, but her old stuff is really, really good. And at a time when she did it, this was when women weren't discussing any of the stuff that she was talking about. And yeah, so it's just, I don't know, it's kind of cool, especially the fact that she's still doing it. She's like 100 years old. I don't know really how old she is, but yeah, she's definitely a huge inspiration.
Some of my female comic inspirations are Joan Rivers, Amy Schumer, Chelsea Peretti, Sarah Silverman.
I have a big mad crush on Joan Rivers, especially after I watched her documentary, which is called A Piece of Work, because I think she was 76 at the time, and she was still in comedy clubs that were just gross and dirty, and the stool had duct tape on it, and there's Joan Rivers in her boa and her clothes, and she's still just slugging it out like the rest of us. I dream to have that much energy and drive at the age of 76.
And guys are always doing this weird thing. They're trying to convince me that their penis is the major decision maker. Like, oh yeah, sorry baby, my little head makes all the decisions. Can you imagine if my vagina made all my decisions? She'd probably do a better job than me. Just this wise, wrinkly sage in my pants. Talk exactly like Sophia from Golden Girls. And her name would be Vagini. Because she grants wishes, but not my wishes. Just chubby boys' wishes. Thanks, you guys.
Comedy is scary because it's like a shark, and when I see it, I am petrified with fear.
Doing stand-up has definitely made me more confident as a person. I, on a weekly basis, conquer the #1 fear of most human beings. It's ahead of death. So there's people that would genuinely rather die than go on stage. So I think of that a lot if I'm confronted with a situation where I'm not very comfortable. It just gives me that little bit of confidence to just do it. So I recently found out that my ex-boyfriend not only conceived a child while we were still together, but he got married 2 weeks after he broke up with me via phone. Like, this was like upsetting, obvious reasons, right? Like, we lived together, so I don't know how I didn't see that coming. But I also spent a year of my life wondering how crazy I had to have been to make a black guy run away to Ireland. Yeah, like, I can't find you. It's easier than the first 2 pages of Where's Waldo, Bugg.
When I perform stand-up, I feel like a rock star. I absolutely do. And I think anyone who didn't admit that might be lying to you. If you can take a room, if you can stand up in front of a couple of hundred people and have them in the palm of your hand, like, I feel goosebumps on my legs just saying those words right now. Goosebumps on legs, that's pretty hard. Arms are easy.
So what I like to do is just bust out my signature modeling pose before we get too far into things, so then it won't bug you the whole time. So here it is, a pose that made me famous.
And to take your voice down to a quiet level and know that you could hear a pin drop because everybody's listening to you, and then release the tension in a punchline and the room explodes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, no, really.
It's so hard to describe, but the adrenaline, hey, I've never tried hard drugs, but I have a feeling that's probably like the best meth you can ever get.
People saying women aren't funny is kind of ridiculous. It's like gay marriage. I mean, it's over. The gays win.
Give females a chance and stop telling them that you don't think female comedians are funny.
To the people who don't think women are funny, I must ask you, do you have a television? Do you have the internet? Have you ever seen Tina Fey or Amy Poehler or Roseanne or Ellen or Lucy or Joan? Do you not just have female funny friends? Girls are hilarious. I can't figure out where you're living that you've decided that women aren't funny. I don't understand you. That's what I would say to them. So get out of your house. We're not that hard to find.
Absolutely everything. The wings, the nachos, the beer, the cocaine, the hotels, the hookers are amazing. Probably the private jet is in the top 10, the wardrobe allowance, the helicopter, meeting the Dalai Lama, that was amazing. I didn't even know he liked stand-up, but he does. I don't know, I could go on forever. I can certainly keep talking. This looks like what I'm saying is interesting. Somewhat strange, but not really.